Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm George Condon with Scratch Golf Tips, and today we're going to be looking at the golf swing of Steph Curry, who we all know as one of the better NBA players of this generation. But Steph is also an excellent golfer. He is above a scratch handicap. He's competed in a lot of Pro-Am events. He's also competed in a few professionally sanctioned events, and while his results haven't been stunning, they are very impressive, especially for someone who does not play golf full-time. I think this is going to be an interesting analysis because you can learn a lot about Steph as someone who does not practice golf 7 days a week. It's great to look at professional golfers, but looking at someone like Curry, who is just a very good athlete, but kind of has to play around with some practice within his own time restraints, just like anyone else. There's a lot to learn, especially, stay tuned towards the end of this video because the final point that we have is going to be very helpful for all golfers. So starting off with this driver swing, one thing that is always a good start, both literally and figuratively, is the takeaway. The takeaway to Steph's swing is very controlled. It's deliberate. It's just intrinsically calm. And normally, when you have someone who's a decent athlete and you put a golf club in their hands, all they want to do is swing it as hard as they can and hit the ball as far as they can. And as a result of that, what they'll do is they will take the club back very fast. They'll lose all sense of tempo, take it back super fast, and swing through super fast. When in reality, the rate at which you swing through the ball is not at all impacted by the rate at which you take away the club. So just making sure that you're staying controlled with that takeaway can be a really, really big help. And oftentimes, people have a very fast takeaway, and then they're feeling like they're slowing down that takeaway. They're feeling like they have a slower tempo, but in reality, nothing is changing. So I would implore you to record video of your swing in real time, and that can really help you slow down that takeaway if that's something that is putting you in bad positions throughout your swing. We can also look at Curry's address at the ball. It's clearly someone who's comfortable with the golf club and an athletic stance. A little bit of knee flexion, not too much. The posture is pretty spot on. You don't need to have a super stiff back that can actually be have some negative effects. So he just seems comfortable over the ball, hands rest down with both driver and the iron. So there's a lot to like in that regard as well. Now looking at the top of the backswing, this move through transition is interesting. He doesn't get incredibly shallow, but he can kind of get away with it because he has that cupped wrist. Now, I believe our first swing analysis we really did was Jon Rahm, and Jon Rahm has the exact opposite. He has a very bowed wrist, but Curry has a little bit of that cupped wrist. It's still fairly neutral, but there is a little bit of the cupping that you can notice. As long as you're not doing anything too dramatic with the wrists, it is a good way to manipulate the club face, and if that's something you're comfortable with and you feel like you can maintain those wrist angles throughout the swing, I would implore you to do so. But I would say for the average golfer who's maybe a 20 handicap, looking to improve their swing, working on how cupped or bowed your wrist is at the top of the backswing, that's a very slippery slope. It can really do a lot of bad for you. While we often think of swing changes as being for the better of our game, if you're messing around with the wrong things at the wrong time, it can be of your detriment. So just be careful when playing around with the wrists at the top of transition. The footwork throughout Curry's swing is solid. There's not much to it, which generally a sound footwork is grounds for a sound golf swing itself. Right before impact, you see that the inside of his front foot, that left foot, comes up a little bit, and then throughout the post impact, up and even till the follow through, the inside of that left leg stays above the ground. That is an indicator of his weight transfer. This is absolutely not a negative on the golf swing. It's just that's when that weight transfer is most prominent, and when he's taking that weight into the front of his body, then that weight is going to put itself and manifest itself on the outside, the left side of his left foot. So that is the reason that the inside of that right foot is coming up. You do not have to be flat-footed throughout the entire golf swing. If your feet shuffle around a little bit, there are definitely some swings where the feet move with Steph Curry. He does a few of these videos are of him with driver. He's in front of a camera. He's obviously going to swing a little bit harder. If there's a little bit of foot movement, again, not the end of the world. It's just a matter of being consistent. And finally, something that I really, really like about Steph's swing that I think a lot of people can learn from. I mentioned this earlier. This is one thing that almost everybody can benefit, and so few people do it. Curry does not have crazy length in the backswing. Well, look at this caddy view here. You see that his hands don't really press up against the chest. He doesn't have a massive rotation. Don't get me wrong. He has great upper body rotation. Steph is super strong, super flexible. He can do that. But we see so many golfers, professional golfers, have a huge rotation. And again, it's because they can be so precise. Amateurs should not have massive rotation. They think massive rotation equals massive power, which it could. That would only matter if you're making solid contact. And when you have that length of a swing for an amateur golfer who's a 20 handicap, they often don't have that consistency in the ball striking, which makes consistent ball striking super difficult. So if you're not practicing all the time and you're just looking to hit the ball a little bit better, shortening up that backswing can really help. You'd be surprised at how little a shorter backswing actually affects your distance if that shorter backswing is making solid contact with the ball. Because yes, your swing will be a little bit shorter, but you're also making better contact. So when I shortened up my swing, it was a huge help, and I'm sure a lot of people can also benefit from it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the golf swing of Steph Curry. Leave any comments that you have down below. If you enjoyed this video, as always, feel free to leave a like rating. That helps me see what kind of content you're enjoying. It also helps YouTube show this type of content to more people who will find it helpful. And finally, if you want to see more content like this, just remember that you can subscribe to the Scratch Golf Tips YouTube channel and turn on post notifications. That way you'll see all of our content when it comes out. You can also go through our account. If you like swing analysis, we have a player analysis playlist on our YouTube channel. We can go through all of those and go through all the other videos that we have to offer. Thank you all very much for watching. Play well and take care.